Ayan, para po sa lahat ng mga nandito na po sa bagong room, again, send na lang po namin yung presentation po ng ating mga guest speakers, and same with the certificate po. And mag-accomplish lang po natin yung ating evaluation after this webinar. Thank you po. Ayun po. Sa lahat po ng mga participants po na may gustong itanong, paki-comment lang po sa chat box po yung inyong mga question po. And sikapin po naming na sagot po yung mga question po ninyo. Sige po. Hi. Hello po, ma'am, sir. Thank you po ulit, ma'am. Thank you very much po. Ayan. Kunin ko lang po yung ating question po ng galing po sa ating mga participant. Question number 1 po, ma'am and sir. What are copyright laws governing the uploading of downloaded free ebooks?
Is that question to all?
Yes, like, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hindi po siya sir, na wala po siyang specific na speaker, sir. Opo. Kung sino na lang po sa inyo, sir, ang pwede pong sumagot po dun sa question.
Ayan. Can I share some? Ay, sige, Kevin, ikaw muna.
Okay, I'll just start lang siguro. With regards to ebooks downloading kasi, we need to make sure what are those electronic resources. Because not all that you can see online that is in an ebook platform is okay and legal to be downloaded. Okay. The main thing right now is that majority of our librarians and fellow library workers is looking for a lot of materials that they can serve for online services, right? And we understand how expensive an online resources is. That's why for the past months that we are in quarantine and majority of the libraries are closed, our publishers help us to recover by providing free access to online resources. So when I say free access, we are just giving an access to that ebook resources. So it's not necessarily okay and legal to be downloaded. That's why we are encouraging our fellow librarians to just use the URL provided by our publishers. Okay? And if you have questions with regards to if there's an ebook alternative or an ebook of that printed copy that you have, you may call directly the publisher if it's available. And be careful to those full text books that you can have online, because as long as there is a copyright on the publication page of the material, it is not legal to be downloaded and to be shared. Okay? We have copyright law in the Philippines. We are bound to follow that. IPOFEL is there to police us with regards to copyright. So nandyan po sila to help us at the same time. So we librarians would wanted to advocate for the protection of copyright and at the same time for the protection of our authors. So be careful and don't forget then to check into if you can see online, there are ebooks scanned and then nakalagay lang sa Google Drive. And then it's selling into 150 pesos, 200 pesos. My dear librarians, be careful because those fiction books are copyrighted materials and it's really not okay to be scanned by just doing so that and then by selling. So wag po tayong sumali sa pagpapalaganap ng piracy with regards to online resources, and we continue to evaluate and check if it's copyrighted material, if it's in Creative Commons. There's a lot of things to consider. If you have a lawyer in your institution, talk to them because they know more on the legalities and the law of the country. So that's what I can share. Thank you.
Ma'am Rowana, anything?
Sure. In addition to what Kevin
Yes.
said, I think one important thing na dapat we put into consideration is the umbrella law ng copyright, which is Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. Intellectual property will include copyright, trademark, yung mga logos ng businesses, patents, inventions. So at least kahit papaano we have to be knowledgeable of this kasi tayo yung information centers within our community, be it a public library, school, or academic. And then we might not be the most reliable person to explain copyright kasi it would entail laws and legislation. So I think for this topic, it might be okay if we can invite IPOP Phil. I think they do conduct webinars about copyright. And then aside from the copyright law, it is also important to um, at least have a background about DRM or the digital rights management. The question is ebooks kasi. So for the ebooks, in terms of licensing, meron tayong two license. It's either the ebook is DRM, free ebook, or the digital rights management ebook. Ibig sabihin, you can freely download the ebooks, only, pwede mo siyang isend kahit kanino na kailangan yung ebook. Whereas we also have DRM protected ebooks, which means this ebook will it will only stay on your device for like 15 days, and then after 15 days, it will self-destruct itself. So as a librarian, dapat aware tayo that there are two types of licenses for ebooks, DRM-free and DRM-protected ebooks. And then, in addition, I know that most libraries cannot afford to subscribe into electronic resources. That's why I also seconded what Kevin has mentioned about open access resources. We have a lot of open access resources. We have a lot of advocates. Example is Directory of Open Access Journals. You can download any articles on that site. We also have open access resources for thesis and dissertation. So if your students need copies of thesis and dissertation and you won't be able to provide your thesis and dissertation to your own libraries, you can provide them those. And then also, I would also like to segue na rin, the American Corner of De La Salle University Libraries are currently providing free access to certain e-resources. So if you're interested, just email the library and we can give you access once approved by the American Spaces. That's it, Sir Dario.
Thank you very much po. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ito po, from you, Ma'am Yolanda Palomado, to Ma'am Bernadine po. Ma'am, may question lang po sa inyo. Question po ni Ma'am Yolanda po is, may I ask po, what library system do you use in your library? It is the same library system that allows your catalog to be online, or you are using another library system to make your catalog online and visible to your clients? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Ma'am Yolanda. The City Library of Urdaneta is using the COHA provided by the National Library of the Philippines, which is an open access system. But what we put online is our backup file, which is in the Excel format. This is for the purpose of giving the list of our books online because at present it is not yet on our website, but we are planning to put it online. But because we are for the emergency purposes, because we have it in Excel format, we have downloaded it in the files for the group, Facebook group. I hope I answer your question.
Ayan, ma'am. Thank you po. Okay po, ma'am. Okay na daw po, ma'am. Thank you po, Ma'am Bernadine. And to Ma'am Ching po, may question po, ma'am. How can school librarians assist students now that we have online learning specifically in public schools and modules are now being used?
Good afternoon again. I think itong nangyari sa atin na transition to the new normal is an equalizer for everyone. Lahat tayo nagsimula na hindi natin alam kung saan tayo magsimula sa pagbibuild ng collection, paggagawa ng bagong services and all. So, as school librarians, whether in the private and public sectors, halos lahat tayo naka-experience ng concern about budget. Because this happened, at least in the context of school libraries, this happened towards the end of the academic year, wherein our budget, most of our budget were already consumed from the first trimester up to the maybe mga February or March when it happened. So when it happened, wala tayong budget. Pare-pareho tayong nag-resort to online curation. So I think as school librarians, whether in the public or private sector, we can assist our students by helping them curate resources related to their modules or to their modified curriculum. Kasi yung curriculum of the students, whether in the private and public, was also modified. Pinaigsi siya, unlike yung regular curriculum. So, I think content curation, creation of pathfinders, live guides that were mentioned earlier are strategies wherein the librarians, school librarians can support the academic needs of our students. So, ayun po. I hope I answered your question.
Okay. Ma'am, thank you po. Thank you, Ma'am Ching. Ma'am Bernadine, thank you daw po sabi ni Ma'am Yolanda Palomado po.
You're most welcome po.
Okay, habang po naghihintay po tayo ng ibang question, i-announce ko lang po yung ating evaluation link po ay nasa offers po. For our participant, ang ating evaluation link po ay nasa offers. Makiklik nyo na lang po yung button po ng offers. Ayan. Question.
Wala silang choice doon. Wala silang choice doon.
Ayan. Ma'am, check ko lang po yung ating comment box po para kung meron man po ibang gustong magtanong po. Ayan. Ma'am, meron pong question po dito sa ating comment box po. A question po from Ma'am Maria Teresa Micaela Cubos po. Can ARC accompanying materials in the books like CDs can be digitized and be borrowed by our clients? Ayan po, ma'am. Hello, ma'am, sir.
Accompanying materials, right, Sir Dario?
Yes po.
Okay. Accompanying materials. Most likely, if I may start. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
For accompanying materials, I think it's the same with other resources in the library. Because it's just that it differs in terms of its type. Majority of our accompanying materials are born digital. Some are already with a CD or a DVD, and then sometimes it was uploaded to our computers where they can access full full access to the material, again, you need to check into your own policy. Because it's very important to put it on your borrowing policy and how are you going to let your users use the accompanying material. Because it's the same thing with the printed books nakasama niya. So, technically, and most of the time, the accompanying material are supplemental. May it be video, may it be the entire text of the material or any other supplemental activities that isn't added to the books or the printed one. So, again and again, the main point here is that if you allowed sending it through email or sending it to your clients, the risk is there for distribution. And we don't want it na parang na ibigay sa kanila yung risk, although we don't have any idea if saan nila gagamitin or what. Maybe we're just really looking into a way na hindi tumaas ang risk ng distribution niya and it will goes to selling, diba? So I think it's very important that this time of quarantine or this time of new normal, you go back with your library manual and policy and try to craft guidelines and protocols, not necessarily the physical protocol that we've discussed, but at the same time, the policy and circulating those materials because it's very important. And as an institution run libraries, it should be approved by your institution because once again, that is a property of the institution through the library fees paid by our clients. So make it a balance. Collaboration is very important. Talk to them hanggang makapag-derive kayo ng magandang policy considering all aspects of copyright, intellectual property, and the like. So that's my takeaway for that question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Kevin ulit. Thank you po. Ayun po, naghihintay pa lang din po ulit ako ng random question po sa ating spotter po. And again po, announce ko lang po yung ating pong evaluation link po ay nasa button po ng offers. Click nyo lang po yun and pwede na po kayo mag-evaluate po. Ayun, sir. So far, wala naman na pong question. Okay. And now po, hanap pa po ako ng question. Baka may nakaligtaan lang po ako.
Dito sa isin yun. Hindi ako napag-sinte. Si Marcos ang sinte.
Ayun, ma'am and sir, may question pa po tayo isa. Ayan, a question po is, may violation daw po ba sa pag-scan ng chapters? From Merab Talagtag po to Ma'am Rowana.
Hi. So regarding the chapters, it really depends. Basta our number one goal is to stick with the fair use of our intellectual property and copyright law kasi dun magbe-base yung number of the percentage. Usually, if I'm not mistaken, it should be 10%. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 10% of the entire material. Yun lang po yung dapat na scan or i-photocopy natin. And also, I just remembered the last time I attended the IPOPIL webinar hosted by PGLL, they highlighted and emphasized that tayong library sector we are exempted to this. But kailangan, exempted man tayo with this provision with the reprographic production of materials, we still need to stick with the fair use. And the most important thing, hindi natin dapat gamitin for profit use. So dapat non-profit, and it should be for educational and research purposes lang. We stick to that, and then we will not have any problem at all.
Ayun, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Rowana.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
po. And ayun po, wala na pong question din po na naka-align po. And ngayon po, now we would like to award the certificate of recognition to our guest speakers. Certificate of National Commission for Culture and the Arts, National Committee on the Libraries and Information Services, NCCA, NCLIS, National Library of the Philippines, NLP, award the certificate of recognition to Rowana Marie Flores for being the resource speaker in the webinar on Protocols Libraries in the New Normal, with the topic Protocols on Academic Library, held on Webinar Jam on November 4, 2020, given this fourth day of November 2020 by Webinar Jam NLP YouTube channel. Signed by Salvacion M. Arlante, Head NCCA NCLIS, and Director for NLP, Cesar Gilbert Q. Adriano. NCCA Commission for Culture and Arts, National Committee of Libraries and Information Services, NCCA NCLIS, National Library of the Philippines, NLP, award this certificate of recognition to Charito P. Basagre for being the resource speaker in the webinar on Protocols, Libraries in the New Normal, with the topic Protocols on School Library, held on Webinar Jam on November 4, 2020. Given this fourth day of November 2020 via the Webinar Jam and NLP YouTube channel. Signed by Salvacion M. Arlante, Head of NCCA NCLIS, and Cesar Gilbert Q. Adriano, Director for NLP. NCC National Commission for Culture and the Arts, National Committee of Libraries and Information Services, NCCA NCLIS, National Library of the Philippines, NLP, award the certificate of recognition to Ma'am Bernardine Maminta Grabella for being the resource speaker in this webinar on Protocols Library in the New Normal, with the topic Protocols of Public Library, held on Webinar Jam on November 4, 2020. Given this fourth day of November 2020 via Webinar Jam and NLP YouTube channel, signed by Salvacion M. Arlante, Head NCCA NCLIS, and Cesar Gilbert Q. Adriano, Director for of National Library of the Philippines. National Commission for Culture and the Arts, National Committee on Libraries and Information Services, NCCA NCLIS, National Library of the Philippines, NLP, award this certificate of recognition to Kevin Conrad T. Tansyongko for being the resource speaker in the webinar on Protocols, Libraries in the New Normal, with the topic Protocols on Special Library, held by a Webinar Jam on November 4, 2020. Given this fourth day of November 2020 via Webinar Jam and NLP YouTube channel. Signed by Salvacion M. Arlante, Head NCCA NCLIS, and Cesar Gilbert Q. Adriano, Director for of NLP, National Library of the Philippines. And thank you very much po, sir. Thank you po. And ayan, muli, maraming salamat po sa ating mga guest speaker, Ma'am Ching, Sir Kevin, Ma'am Rowana, and Ma'am Bernadine. Thank you very much po sa idea, sa knowledge po na binigay niyo po sa amin, sa ating mga participants na umattend po sa ating webinar. For sure, marami silang natutunan, and ako syempre, personally, ako din po, marami po akong natutunan. Ayun, ngayon po, ayan, thank you talaga po. Thank you very much po talaga. And for our closing remarks, may we call on Miss Jennifer Dimasaka, Vice Chair of 30th LIS Month.
My dear colleagues in the field of librarianship, library enthusiasts, our resource speakers, officers and members of the library associations, directors of the National Library of the Philippines, Director Cesar Gilbert Adriano, Assistant Director Edgardo Quiros. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant afternoon. I would like to congratulate the 30th Library and Information Services Month Committee, headed by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, National Committee on Libraries and Information Services, led by Professor Salvacion Arlante, and the National Library of the Philippines, led by Ms. Maricel Orenia, and its committee members, for having a successful opening ceremony earlier this morning, and for the preparation for the month-long celebration. They have worked tirelessly to make this 30th LISM a fruitful celebration. My heartfelt congratulations. Thank you to our resource speakers for sharing their knowledge and expertise in different types of library protocols. The International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, or IFLA, states that libraries around the world are facing hard choices, which services to offer and how, ranging from the minimal restrictions to full closure. We are aware that the government themselves are taking different approaches, sometimes ordering the closure of the institutions, others indicating that life should continue as usual, and others simply leaving the decision to the library directors. Clearly, any decision to restrict services or close a library is a difficult one and needs to be taken following the assessment of the relative risks. The whole month of November, by virtue of Proclamation Number 837, Series of 1991, is declared as Library and Information Services Month in order to focus public awareness to the invaluable service that libraries and information centers render, such as providing data and materials for long knowledge and learning, for research, and for leisure. This afternoon, I have 3 points to make. First, let us celebrate our achievements. The celebration of the Library and Information Services Month for 30 years has made a tremendous change in the perspective on how people see libraries. Our efforts to relate to our clients and stakeholders show how compassionate our librarians and library personnel are. The invaluable service we provide created a ripple effect to our clients' lives. Second, we must all commit to the work ahead of us. We have many different challenges, but the only way to address any of these challenges is the same way we have addressed our work over the years, together. Third, we must all keep ourselves accountable. If we want libraries to have great impact and contribution to the attainment of the Philippine Development Plan and the Sustainable Development Goals, we must all commit to regular accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, celebrate our achievements, commit to the work ahead of us, keep ourselves accountable. As our umbrella organization, Philippine Librarians Association Incorporated, puts it, our vision is to be strong and committed to the advancement of the practice of librarianship towards national development. And that vision can only be achieved together. Let's relate, engage, advocate, and lead. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Jennifer. And that's all for our webinar series 1, Libraries of the New Normal Protocols. Thank you everyone for joining today's webinar and for the speaker who shared their knowledge to us. Keep safe always. Have a great day. Thank you very much.